Hey everybody, this video is excuse me. This video is about counts as, despite that rule and the WYSIWYG rule, which is what you see is what you get. Because for new players, I feel that those two rules can sound kind of like they conflict. I'm also here to talk about counts as because I really like the counts as rule. It's pretty much been around, I don't want to say forever, because I haven't been playing the game since it first came out, but it's been around for a while. I mean, the Apocalypse books talk more upon it, and now you're pretty much seeing it everywhere with the new codices that come out. So first off, WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. That pretty much dictates that whatever's on the model is what they have. So to show you what I've shown you in the very beginning with this first video of this camera, these guys back here, that Marine in the front with the bolter, he's WYSIWYG. He's armed with a bolter. And the guy behind him is armed with a missile launcher. The guy in front can never have a missile launcher because he's not modeled with one. So I can't give him that war gear. Now, I'm not very anal when it comes to WYSIWYG. Like, yes, I believe if you want a missile launcher, model it. If you want combi plasma, model it. But at the same time, for example, these Space Marines come with bolter, bolt pistol, frag, and crack grenades. If you notice, he doesn't have bolt pistol or frag and crack grenades on him. And that's okay. He doesn't need to have those on him, in my opinion, because it's standard war gear. Every other Marine in his squad is going to have the exact same thing. So if I only have it modeled here and there, it's not really a problem. Or even if I don't have it modeled at all, because it's in what he has. I essentially paid for it when I bought the squad. It's not like it's an upgrade, whereas the missile launcher is an upgrade. Oops, sorry. Now, what that doesn't do is it doesn't say anything about counting as. Now, count as doesn't do anything in regards to WYSIWYG, because a count as model is still a WYSIWYG. For example, this commander back here. There we go, nice and focused. He is a count as Pedro Cantor. He's still WYSIWYG because he is equipped with what Pedro Cantor is equipped with. A Power Fist and a Stormbolter. Or the Fist of, the Arrow of Dawn or whatever it's called. It's essentially a Stormbolter. That's a little bit better. So, while he is not actually Pedro Cantor, he has the same equipment and therefore I can run him with the same stat line as long as I pay the appropriate point costs to be Pedro Cantor, and he will affect my army as such. Other examples that don't necessarily have to be independent characters are squads. This is an example of a squad of mine. It's a pre-heresy Thousand Sun Terminator squad. But I'm going to run that squad and pay for it in appropriate point costs using the valid codex for it of a Grey Knight's Terminator squad. So that would be a Nemesis Force weapon and a Stormbolter. Still WYSIWYG because it's got the appropriate war gear. It just doesn't look like a Grey Knight Terminator, so in purpose of games, I'd have to make that clear. Same thing with that model. Essentially, what count as models the best of your abilities to look the same. Like, yeah, this actually isn't a Nemesis Force weapon. It's a... Where's the model at? Oh, there's my hand. It's a Power Khopesh. Because, you know, Egyptian theme, Thousand Suns. More examples of this, having to do with my pre-heresy Thousand Suns, is a Count as Sicarius, who's called Kahotep, and a Count as Tigerius, who will be essentially Ahriman. Both models are WYSIWYG, but being that they're not actually Sicarius, not actually a Tigerius, they are counts as. I know it seems pretty straightforward and pretty obvious for most of us, but it can be confusing, especially if you're new, or especially if you're trying to branch out and make your own army, or a pre-heresy army, or what have you, or even for any other race, and, you know, your own color scheme, but you want a cool character, but you're not sure how to do it. And that's why I like count stats, because it allows you to make your own color scheme or whatever, what have you, and not just have an army who's painted, you know, different, but also to have some flavor, some style of gameplay that's fits how you want it. Like for my successor chapter called of the Dark Angels, I wanted them to also be shooty. Let's get this Terminator out of the way. I wanted them to also be shooty, but I wanted it not to be the Dark Angels Codex. So I saw Pedro Cantor in the new Codex, thought he was cool. I mean, not that I wouldn't build a Crimson Fist army, I probably will. But, like, I like the idea of scoring Sterngard. Not just on a power gaming level, but on a fluff level. I think it really fits the idea of this army that I'm making. And with the pre-Heresy 1000 Suns, the fluff's already there, I just needed models to make it work. And obviously the new Codex for Space Marines is not going to have pre-Heresy stuff in it. I mean, it's going to have history, but it's not going to have models necessary for it. So here we go. I picked Sicarius, in case you're interested, because his special ability, where you can strike once at a higher strength and instant kill, is like a latent psychic ability in my mind, fluff-wise. I can explain it all as. Now, they both of these models have Kopeshes, but their war gear is appropriate. It's not necessarily, yes, I know it's not a staff, but I figured I could have some creative license there. And it's not just a straight sword, it's a Kopesh, it's still a sword. So that's essentially count stats on WYSIWYG in a nutshell. I mean, the rulebook has WYSIWYG in it, and count stats you can pretty much find anywhere. Pardon me. I also have other count stats stuff, like the Gazgul model. He's counts as, if you, in the literal sense, even though in the more figurative sense of how we do counts as, where you make your own model, he's not. He's WYSIWYG, he's essentially the same model, just painted differently. So that's another way you can do counts as. You don't have to make your own model. If you like the way the model looks, and you can just file off the symbols, or you incorporate those symbols into your army, then by all means, that's counts as. I think you shouldn't have a problem with that. Essentially, not to keep rambling on here, but I know some people have a problem with count stats because, not even on a gaming level where it's not fair, because it's completely fair, you're paying the appropriate costs and you're actually going further than just buying a model. Sometimes you're making your own model. In the sense that they think, I've heard people say that they think it takes away from the game, you just have special armies everywhere, and that's their opinion, that's great. I'm glad they have their own opinion, but I feel differently. I feel counts as lets you build an army more in tune with what you want. It lets you not just fall into the line of painting up a model that look like an Ultramarine because you want to use a special character. Not that Ultramarines are bad, but not everybody wants to play Ultramarines, not everybody wants to be a Blood Angel, not everybody wants to be Crimson Fist, for example. Some people just like the models, like the ability to make their army more unique, and I think they should be able to run with it. Which they are. It's not like they're not allowed to in tournaments, it's just that one thing I will say what counts as is make it clear to your opponent, even on a friendly game, that, for example, this is not just a captain. This is Sicarius. He counts as Sicarius, so he has all the rules of, you guessed it, Sicarius. It's got to make it clear, especially because when you stand him next to, when you stand him next to other models of the 1000 Suns that I'm building, for example, they all look relatively similar. They're red and gold. He's not a very unique model in terms of, he's not a Pewter Sicarius, for example. Where Sicarius stands out amongst Ultramarines, he might not stand out as much. So there you have it. That's my view on counts as in a nutshell. I rambled on a bit more than I probably would have liked to, but whatever. As a side note, this does not have a blog post on it because I would not have been able to type this out. So this is actually one of those videos that will not have a supplemental part on the blog. Hope you enjoyed. More to come later. Take it easy.